Wonderful new sponsor. I hope you'll listen and participate in this. I really do. You know, the holidays might be over, but the winter has just begun. And according to studies, the air indoors contains up to 100 times more pollution than the outside. This can cause illness, allergies, unnecessary wear and tear on your HVAC system, leading to costly repairs or even worse, the premature replacement of the entire system. Resolve to breathe better with FilterBuy, America's leading provider of HVAC filters for homes and small businesses. They carry over 600 different filter sizes, including custom options, all ship free within 24 hours, plus they're manufactured right here in the United States. So they're shipped for free within 24 hours. You don't have to drag yourself to one of these warehouse stores, and they're manufactured in this country. FilterBuy offers a multitude of MERV options, all the way up to hospital grade, so you'll be removing dangerous pollen, mold, dust, other allergy-aggravating pollution while maximizing the efficiency of your HVAC system. Right now, you can save 5% when you set up auto delivery, so you never need to think about air filters again. Save money, save time, breathe better, breathe fresh air with FilterBuy.com. That's FilterBuy.com. FilterBuy.com. This is a brand new sponsor. This is the first time I'm mentioning to them. I spent some time over the holidays talking with them, learning about their product and so forth, and their wonderful service. And that's the key. This will come right to your door. You pop it into your filter or your filters immediately. And I don't know if you checked your filter lately, particularly with winter here. I'll bet they are loaded. Loaded. Now, I just learned about this company. And I don't really take the time to run to all these stores. I like them. I love Lowe's and Home Depot and all the rest of them. But it's not like it's in the front of my mind. Even when I go there, I say, I got to get a filter. The great thing about this is it comes right to your door. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. It just comes right to your door. It's shipped for free within 24 hours after your order. And as they say, you can put this in an auto system for auto delivery at a scheduled time, which will remind you to change the filters. So it's very, very important. I found out I have adult asthma now. I never knew I had asthma. And so I've now begun my FilterBuy service. And I got my filters, about 3 weeks ago? And they come automatically, and I put them in place, and that's that. And I get rid of the old ones. So I hope you'll check it out. And it's an American company. It's a small company based here in the United States. It's FilterBuy.com. That's FilterBuy.com. And the pricing is terrific, too, by the way. All right. Let's continue. We've gotten some interesting calls as far as I'm concerned. William, Dover, Delaware, the great WGMD. Go.
Hey, Mark. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Very well, thank you.
I'm good. I'm honored to talk to you. I've talked to you once before. I'm going to tell you exactly why these liberal states are passing this law to legalize marijuana. It's because they can tax it, and they can line their pockets and spend the money how they want. And I guarantee you, they say it's going to be on education and all this other good stuff, but it's not going to be. It'll just be more money that they can waste. You know, we have that problem now in the federal government. They tax and tax and tax, and they spend and spend and spend. So now they got something they can get everybody screwed up on. Everybody's high. They think that the state is doing something great for them. Oh, yeah, man, we can go out and buy weed now, man. But they're taxing you, you fools. They're taxing you. You're better off growing it yourself. That's how dumb potheads are. You know what I mean?
All right. Thanks for your call. All right. Thank you. For all I know, 50% of my audience is into pot. So how do you build your audience? Well, you attack the potheads. Not really. There's a lot of callers from Colorado because obviously this has affected them directly. And let's go to Mark, Colorado Springs. Again, Colorado, our great KVOR. Go.
Counselor, it's so good to hear your voice in the new year when we got so much going on. And, I was just listening to your first your first monologue, your opening statement, and you were just killing it in regard to the media and the Steve Bannon thing. And, I'm coming to you as a former media member. I was a newspaper reporter.
Really?
And I am a media observer, and I pay attention to astute media observers like yourself. I really do. And I'm frustrated, and I've got friends who absolutely align with the recent survey results that came out about so many American people distrusting members of the media. And I've got an analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I met for lunch today with a guy who was an ardent Trump supporter, but now he's relegated to watching old YouTube videos of Trump's campaign speeches, and he cannot discern between figurative language and what's important.
Mm-hmm. All right, my friend, I got to roll. Thank you for your comments. Much appreciated. We'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Man, I'm not getting to all the stuff I wanted to get to, but I'll do more tomorrow. There's a breaking story now and a breaking story tomorrow. I'm going to hold my fire, Mr. Producer. I'm going to hold my fire, and I'm going to circle back. Rebecca Mercer, I've never met her. I don't know her. She apparently funds a lot of stuff. Has now put out a statement. She is a minority owner of the Breitbart website. I don't know when that happened, but she is. Apparently her father was an investor first or something of that sort and sold his interest to her. And apparently she was also a big funder of other efforts that Steve Bannon was involved in. She's put out a statement. They're cutting off all funds to Bannon. And according to reports, there's a debate on the board of Breitbart. Apparently they have a board on whether or not Bannon should stay, and several are leaning against him leaving. That seems to be the situation. So what is the lesson here? Whatever the outcome, what's the lesson here? There's several lessons, aren't there? If you live by the liberal media, you die by the liberal media. They know no loyalty whatsoever. If you're leaking to the liberal media, if you're on the record with the liberal media, they will use you. They will milk you, and then they will spit you out. They have no allegiance to you whatsoever. They use you. I cannot tell you how many times a reporter has called me and encouraged me, tried to prod me to trash talk another conservative, including conservatives in this business, who do it to me, and I won't do it. I can't tell you how many times, Mr. Producer could tell you, he probably keeps track of this, I've been invited on these Sunday talk shows to trash Trump when I was an early Cruz supporter. I won't do it. I'm not going to allow them to use me that way. If I have something to say, I'll say it on the microphone, or on Levin TV, and in the future on Fox. I'm not going to allow the left, which as an aggregate hates my guts because of what I believe and because of my views. All you have to do is look on the internet or look on my Wikipedia page, which is a disgrace what's been allowed on there. And you'll see it. The idea that the left, the reporters, liked Bannon is preposterous. They hated Bannon. They hate all of us. And that he would go to that well apparently all the time, or often. Now he goes to that well. I'm sure they want quotes from him in order to finish him off. But honestly, Bannon has damaged himself. He's damaged himself by the way he's handled this. And the publisher is so ecstatic by this, and the author too, they're pushing their publication date, that is the release date, to Friday. Typically books come out on Tuesday. They're moving it to Friday because the demand is so strong. Tell me, where do you think the demand is strong? Among conservatives? Among nationalist populists? Among Republicans? No. Among liberals and Democrats and other media types. Because they're going to use the book to attack the president and his family, which is exactly the point. That's exactly the point. That's why you don't do things like this. And in the end, it backfires. The president is smeared. His family smeared. And the source of the information, it backfires. So who benefits? The left benefits. The left benefits. So, that's the situation as I speak. And not only that, now we have Democrats, like the piranha that they are, circling Bannon. You know, listen, let's play some of this. I wasn't even going to go here, but let's do it. Let's go to Cut 7, Representative Adam Schiff today on CNN. CNN's loving this. MSNBC's loving it. It's nonstop. Cut 7, go.
Your committee has asked Steve Bannon to testify. Is that right? You want him to come before the House Intelligence Committee?
We do want him to come before the committee. There are a number of reasons we think he could shed light on a number of key meetings that took place, as well as potential communication. And plainly from his comments in the book, there's a lot he could tell us.
Are your Republican colleagues on the Intelligence Committee, are they on board?
I think they are. I certainly hope so. And I hope that these revelations of what Mr. Bannon has said will not discourage them from following through and making sure that he comes before our committee.
That's not the only committee that wants a piece of Bannon now. We have Mark Warner. He was on CNN last night. Cut 8, go.
Senator, do you want Steve Bannon to come before your Senate Intelligence Committee and testify?
Well, if he's got a factual basis for these allegations, particularly one that you haven't mentioned yet, that he assumed that the participants of that meeting then were brought up and met Mr. Trump himself. I'd like to find out whether that's true or not. I'd like to find out why he made these claims about money laundering, about this meeting being treasonous. Obviously, I agree that this meeting should have been reported to the FBI. So if he's got a story to tell, I'd like him to come before our committee and before Mr. Mueller and give testimony, yes.
Was it worth it? No, it wasn't worth it. Talking to this author? Not in the least. I don't know what. It's not just Bannon. There's others who are going to come out here, too. We're going to see about Reince Priebus. I don't know. I mean, it's not worth it, this boomerang. Then this real sleazeball, this Representative Eric Swalwell of California. Cut 9. And by the way, notice Wolf Blitzer keeps asking the same question. He finally woke up. Wow. Hey, look what we got here. Cut 9, go.
Your Democratic colleague in the House, Congressman Ted Lieu, he tweeted this in response to the story. He also told me the same thing. He said, based on the statements by Steve Bannon, congressional committees now need to subpoena him to testify on the Trump-Russia investigation. Do you agree?
Yes. We would like to hear from Mr. Bannon. There's a host of other witnesses who have not come forward yet, who we hope that our Republican colleagues will understand are relevant for our investigation. And so Mr. Bannon certainly was relevant before this statement was made.
Back to Adam Schiff, who is a complete sleaze. And he was on CNN today. He sees even more in this book. And Bannon's comments. Cut 10, go.
He also suggested in this new bombshell book that money laundering, which is illegal, obviously, with the Russians, are at the basically at the heart of this investigation involving Donald Trump as a candidate, as a businessman with the Russians. Tell us about that.
Well, it's ironic because I've been discussing my concern over money laundering for months now, and the fact that we're not doing what we need to do to get to the bottom of that allegation, only to be criticized by Breitbart for raising this issue, and now you have Steve Bannon doing it himself. People look at the issue of compromat, and they think of a salacious video. From my point of view, if the Russians were laundering money through the Trump organization or guaranteeing financing for the Trump organization, that's far more compromising of this president and our country.
You believe they were?
I don't know, but I do think it's negligent, given the credibility of these allegations, for us not to look into it. And it, frankly, would be an easy thing to find out or refute. It will require a subpoena from our committee
Bank, for example.
Deutsche Bank.
Has that happened?
That has not happened. The only subpoenas for bank records.
Now that's enough. You get what's going on here. You get what's going on here. And there's a lot of other statements apparently in this book about people saying on and off the record that the president has a screw loose. And this continues to be a mantra that is pushed by the guy with more screws that are loose than anybody I know, this morning schmo. So they're going to play this up again. Cut 12, go.
On January the 4th, 2018, and there has been this understanding for a year, that Donald Trump is ill fit to be president of the United States. There's been this understanding for several years, and yet it's now all out in black and white. And people are actually shocked by it when the Republican Party should not be shocked by it. And again, I will say, what's most devastating at the end to Donald Trump is he has yet another insider saying there's more than meets the eye on Russia, and a lot meets the eye.
I mean, I don't know how Bannon didn't think these fools would seize on this stuff. Scarborough is a complete prostitute. That's what he is. He knows what he's saying is ridiculous. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. You got this guy, Jeff Merkley from Oregon, a huge leftist. This is all CNN, MSNBC, CNN. They're going back and forth, back and forth. Worried about Trump's mental state, you see. Cut 13, go.
Well, I'm very concerned about his mental state because the decision-making role of the president in terms of nuclear war is extremely significant. And unless a military...
Shut up, you idiot. Why don't you save your venom for Kim Jong inbred fat boy? No, not Jeff Merkley. Then there's this slob, Steve Schmidt. This slob was a strategist for John McCain when McCain was running for president, and you may have noticed McCain lost. And so, therefore, the guy's an expert on all things. He's a pompous ass. And so he's on MSNBC constantly. And there he is today. And guess what he's saying? Cut 14, go.
What we see increasingly is a president who is under pressure, out of his depth, ignorant, unprepared, and fundamentally unfit for the office. And this is apparent to everybody. It's apparent to the members of Congress, but they don't say it publicly. They say it to journalists. They say it privately in the bars. But his dangerous unfitness, I think, is something that out of this book and these other actions on the third day of the new year are increasingly going to become part of the political narrative in 2018, because though it may be uncomfortable, it's increasingly clear that the question of this president's manifest unfitness for this office...
All right, that's enough. That's enough. all you people surrounding the president, talking to this author on and off the record, you proud of yourselves? You feed buffoons like this? These hysterical, asinine comments from pretend reporters and pretend guests who pretend to know something? You just fed them all with these absolutely outrageous comments to this left-wing reporter. That's why Trump and his supporters are disgusted with all of you. And I don't blame them. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
About somebody who's unfit for office, but Joe Scarborough won't touch this one. Steve Schmidt won't touch this one. Jeff Merkley won't touch this one. It's Keith X, a.k.a. Keith Ellison. Daily Caller, Peter Hassan. Minnesota Representative Keith Ellison, Vice Chair of the Democrat National Committee. Did I say Vice Chair of the Democrat National Committee? Sparked controversy on Wednesday by tweeting an apparent endorsement of violent left-wing group Antifa. Ellison's endorsement of the group, which the Department of Homeland Security says is responsible for domestic terrorist violence, is just the latest instance of Ellison publicly attaching himself to radical figures and ideologies. Ellison once defended famed anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan, head of the Nation of Islam, against charges of anti-Semitism. In an op-ed for the Washington Post last year, Ellison said he should have more closely scrutinized Farrakhan, who once said Hitler was a very great man, but blamed a right-wing smear campaign for any questions raised about his ties to anti-Semitic figures. Ellison has his own history of radical positions, including advocating for black nationalism. During college, he wrote columns arguing for the creation of a blacks-only ethno-state and called the U.S. Constitution the best evidence of a white racist conspiracy to subjugate other peoples. Similarly, while speaking at a protest following in 1992, Ellison declared that black people don't live in a democracy and don't have an obligation to obey government. While speaking to an atheist group in 2007, Ellison compared the 9/11 attacks to the Reichstag fire. He stopped just short of accusing then-President George W. Bush of having a hand in the attacks. Quote, "It's almost like the Reichstag fire kind of reminds me of that," Ellison said of the terrorist attacks. After the Reichstag was burned, they blamed the communists for it. And it put the leader, Hitler, of that country in a position where he could basically have authority to do whatever he wanted. That's a quote. Ellison went on to say he wouldn't suggest the U.S. had a hand in the attacks because, you know, that's how they put you in a nutball box, dismiss you, before later walking back the comments. In 2009, the Democratic congressman headlined a fundraiser for a controversial Libyan-born activist running for the Virginia Assembly. The activist, Issam Umish, was known to have praised one of the founders of Hamas and to have called on Palestinians to embrace the jihad way in its battle against Israel. Ellison campaigned with him anyway. That same year, Ellison was the subject of a House Ethics Committee investigation after he failed to disclose that an American Muslim organization with ties to the Muslim Brotherhood had paid $13,500 for him to take a pilgrimage to Mecca in 2008. Democratic National Chair candidate Keith Ellison, Ellison, like the black nationalists he has since distanced himself from, has a history of spewing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. During a 2010 speech to a mostly Muslim audience, Ellison claimed that America's foreign policy puts Israel interests first because American Jews have been mobilized to do its bidding in America. That's funny. The neo-Nazi Klansmen and their former website accused me of the same thing, Mr. Ellison. That is, of putting Israel ahead of America. You sound like a Klansman. Ellison's ties to Farrakhan and his own anti-Semitic statements were a source of internal division within the Democratic Party during last year's race for DNC chair. Democratic mega donor Chaim Saban threatened to leave the party if Ellison was elected chair, saying the congressman is clearly an anti-Semite. The Anti-Defamation League, a top Jewish civil rights group, similarly called on DNC to disqualify Ellison for his anti-Semitic statements. Party leaders, Democrat leaders, refused to disqualify Ellison, and Tom Perez's first act as DNC chair was to name Ellison as number 2. Oh, that Democrat Party. Oh, that Democrat Party. Its history is so much its present, isn't it? Will Joe Scarborough, that pathetic fool, will he call Ellison deranged, mental? He should be expelled from Congress? No, because Joe Scarborough is exactly what I said, a demented fool. We'll be right back.
The Mark Levin Show, live and national at 877-381-3811.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2018 is here. It's time to look your best. That's right. Look younger than you ever have in years. Guaranteed. It's easy with the brand new Genicel treatment for droopy eyelids. Here's Mary from Fort Collins, Colorado. I don't believe everything I hear, she wrote. So I tried this eye lift on my right eye, and the next day at work, everybody said my right eye looked better, and I couldn't believe it. Yes, it's all the saggy lines on your eyelids. They disappear. This breakthrough eyelid treatment is yours free. Free, with your order of Genicel for bags and puffiness. You'll also get Genicel Immediate Effects for 12-hour results. Go to Genicel.com, that's Genicel.com, or better yet, call 800-SKIN-604, 800-SKIN-604. And it even gets better. Order in the next 20 minutes to get 2 more classics, Esotique RF, Collagen Builder, and Deep Firming Serum free. Now, during Chamonix's amazing New Year's sale, you'll get the best-selling Lason's Neck Treatment. And now upgrade to express shipping free. I'm telling you, folks, you should act. That's 6 free gifts. 800-SKIN-604. Hurry, supplies are running out. I'll tell you who's at the front of the line calling right now, my buddy Teddy. I'm serious. Call 800-SKIN-604, 800-SKIN-604, or go to Genicel.com. Teddy likes freebies, and there's 6 freebies right here. 800-SKIN-604. Gary, Staten Island, the great WABC. Go.
How are you? And did you ever consider debating Marxist economist Richard Wolff?
Hello? No, I haven't, actually.
He was on Fox News, and the New York Times gave him coverage. Really? He's actually a quite knowledgeable Marxist. And
well, I'm scared of him. He must be an absolute genius. But how about you, sir? You called the program. How may I help you?
Yes. All the Marxists are saying capitalism is going to collapse. They're saying it over and over again, the message since the beginning of time.
Well, in some places it has collapsed, as in Venezuela.
So,
as in Cuba. Pay attention, I'm educating you. As in North Korea, among other places. And these are absolute hellholes.
But look how capitalism, how socialism has worked in Japan and Australia.
So, first of all, Japan is not, quote-unquote, a socialist country. It's more capitalist-oriented. And by the way, because they've moved more and more away from capitalism, even though it's not a, quote-unquote, socialist country, they've had a flat economy for at least a decade. And what do you mean it works in Australia? Because you have a leftist who came in before this conservative, did all this leftist stuff that it's working? 20 or 30 years, it won't work. It'll do what it always does. You want to know why? Why doesn't socialism work, sir?
Socialism actually does kind of work and it works in Canada a little bit.
You know, you're absolutely incredible. No, what's working in Canada is what's left of capitalism. Socialism does not work. Redistributing wealth. You can only do it while you have a majority capitalist society. And I don't mean by numbers. I mean where you still have a relatively robust capitalist society. where you actually move from capitalism into a more aggressive form of socialism, the economy collapses.
How can capitalism survive if everything's replaced with automation?
Sir, do you drive a car?
Yes.
Is that automated? Is that pay attention. Is that automated?
No, the car I drive.
Oh yes, it's automated. Use a computer, sir. Do you use a computer?
No, you could all.
Sir, do you use a telephone? I assume you called me with a telephone.
You're being silly because...
No, you're being a moron. What do you mean automation? What's going to happen to capitalism? Capitalism helps create automation, which creates jobs, which improves the quality of life. Hey, get off the phone, you idiot. I don't even know what's this guy, a mental patient calling me from some institution? I don't know what I'm dealing with here. Will I debate Marx's what's-his-name? Sure I will. Who the hell is the guy? I don't even know who he is. All right. Calm down. Let us go to Sam, Ridgefield, New Jersey, a wonderful place, the great WABC. How may I help you, Sam?
Yep, Mark, it's Ridgefield, Connecticut. I called you about a month ago. Went to the dentist. And
how'd that turn out, sir? The nation is curious.
Yeah, still not yellow teeth, so that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to wish you a Happy New Year, and I'm not a stoner. But anyway, just a couple of comments. One was, the person, nice gentleman, called about Maryland state tax and all that kind of stuff. And the point he's missing is that you get your standard deduction, and then you pay your Maryland tax on top of that. So you're paying more than the 25% taxpayer in Texas because you got to pay the 7% Maryland tax.
So what you're saying is for that individual, let's say they're paying a 25% rate, a starting rate, and a 7% rate. So you're starting at 32%, where the guy in Texas is starting at 25%.
That's right. And, obviously you can go in and fill up your standard deduction with additional deductions, like your second caller that talked about the whole recapture of deductions. I don't know what the heck she was talking about, but, the next time somebody like that calls, I just ask them what the IRC section is that says you have to recapture your itemized deductions from the prior year. Never heard of that.
I think what she meant was if you get a refund. Like if you get a refund from the feds or state government, then you have to add it the next year.
State, yes. Federal, no.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do numbers. I'm not an accountant.
No, I get that. You're a brilliant man, not a tax guy, but you get enough of the basics to make it all.
I know you don't move into a high tax state for the purpose of getting a deduction. That's absurd.
Exactly. Why would I pay 100% on something to get a 25% federal?
I don't know. And I was trying to work it through with the guy, but he kept repeating himself.
Right. And you were brilliant in the end, as usual. And again, I'm the F. Lee Levin guy, the old guy with the bad teeth.
Oh, you remember F. Lee Levin, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
With El Rushbo.
Yep, and I have to tell you this because I didn't get any of the personal things in, and I know we have to move quickly. But my wife and I talked about having you over for dinner, and all I can think about is a well-done sirloin with extra ketchup for you and Milk Duds.
That might do it, baby. I can't eat Milk Duds anymore. They pull the crowns out of my teeth.
Oh, well, now you know why I went to the dentist.
You went to the dentist? Of course.
Yes.
And by the way, I need to go to my dentist. You won't believe this. Mr. Producer, 5 minutes before the first show of the year, yesterday started, I broke a tooth. Eating a pretzel. Anyway, luckily it's not Britain. Luckily we're more capitalist than socialist. Luckily I do have a great dentist. And luckily I'll be going to that dentist. I'll call him up and I'll go next week. What's that?
So, luckily, we all have you, Mark.
Well,
Happy
thanks,
New Year to you and your lovely family. And, again, I told Mr. Call Screener the whole thing about, people moving out of high-tax states to low-tax states and what that's going to do, red, purple, blue.
Oh yeah, well, these idiots in Congress say, "Whoa, we're going to get the blue state." So more of these people are going to move into the red states and turn them into purple states. That's what they're going to do.
Exactly, and that's
these state governments aren't going to change. Why? Do you think they give a damn about their citizens? They're not going to change. They're ideologically driven.
Right. And
all right, thank you, Sam. Take care of yourself. I want to underscore this point. Well, the blue states, this will incentivize them to lower their taxes. No, it won't. They don't care if their citizens leave. They're all about power. And they're relying more and more on people who aren't even citizens. And they're relying more and more on people who don't pay taxes. It's just so stupid. Oh, but I'm a supply-sider. No, you're not. David, Havertown, Pennsylvania. I know exactly where that is on the Mark Levin app. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How you doing, Mark?
All right. Thank you.
It's an honor to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
What I wanted to say is I think it's fascinating how the left has had this war on tobacco and smoking, and now they're pushing like crazy to legalize marijuana.
It's a good point.
If you like smoke or you don't.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I can't stand either, quite frankly.
So
they make effectively illegal with their massive tax increases, cigarettes, and they make legal pot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't smoke in any bars or restaurants, and they take that decision away from the owners of these establishments.
Well, that's true too.
And
not only that, you gotta. It's confusing which bathroom you're supposed to use now.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. I self-identify. What are you, pervert? All right, David. How cold is it there in Havertown?
It's about 17 degrees right now, and my driveway is about 12 inches deep in snow. I'm just trying to shovel it out. So.
All right. Don't forget to wear your galoshes.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to wear a hat.
No, I don't.
Don't forget to wear gloves and a scarf. Don't forget, don't lift the heavy snow. These are these weathermen and weatherwomen. They're like you're 3 years old. Thank you. I know what I'm doing. All right, my friend, I appreciate your call. Let's see. Let's go, before you even finish, Mr. Callscreen, let's go to Tom in Dallas, Texas. He's a lawyer who supports socialism. Yes, Tom, how may I help you?
No, I don't support socialism. But
well, that's what he wrote here. What did you tell him?
Well, I told him that the tax plan is good because your argument that people should be able to deduct their interest and taxes depending on where they live is nothing more than a transfer of income, which you
not depending on where they live.
Yeah, it is.
The federal code should allow it, and you depend on where you live. That's up to you. The federal code shouldn't make any distinction.
Well, the federal code should have no. If you want to have a standard deduction, everybody gets a standard deduction.
Well, everybody can deduct if they pay state income taxes. They can pay state income taxes. If they pay property taxes, they can deduct property taxes. If everybody who wants to make a charitable donation to a church, they can deduct those. Anybody who wants to make a charitable donation to a no-kill dog shelter or to Wounded Warriors or whatever, they can deduct that. People who don't make those contributions don't get those deductions.
No, because the state income taxes are being paid to the state, and you're getting a deduction.
So what? Sir, I'm a private citizen. I'm an individual. I live in a state. I have no choice but to pay those taxes. You make it sound like I'm getting some benefit or something like that. I'm not. And neither are millions of people who are listening to me. So I don't understand what your objection is.
My objection is you don't have a choice to pay them, but why should I subsidize your payment?
You're not subsidizing anybody. How are you subsidizing somebody who pays their taxes, deducts their property taxes in, say, or their state income taxes in Pennsylvania? How are you subsidizing them?
Because they're getting a deduction against their federal taxable income. Which
no, they're not getting anything. That's their money. You sound like a leftist. That's number one. Number two, the spending goes on no matter what. It's not as if, we don't get that dollar in the federal government. That means they'll spend a dollar less. You're not making any sense to me.
Well, because you don't want it to make it sense.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 30 seconds. You can convince the whole country how brilliant you are. Go ahead.
Okay. So if I make the same amount of money as you, and you live in a state that pays income taxes, and I live in Texas, which doesn't, and you take a tax deduction against your federal AGI, you're paying less federal income taxes than I am.
But I'm paying more taxes than you are overall, aren't I? If I'm paying 5.5% in state income taxes in Virginia and 25%, let's say, in federal income taxes, and I get a deduction on my state income tax of maybe 2 out of the 5.5%, so maybe 20-some percent of that, I'm still effectively, my household is paying higher taxes to the federal and state government than you are.
Yeah, well, that's because you're paying to a state.
Well, that's because I happen to live where I live. But don't act like I'm subsidizing. You're subsidizing me. You're not subsidizing any other taxpayer. That's my money.
It's your money. You choose to live where you want to live, and I choose where I want to live.
Right, and I'm effectively paying a higher rate, federal, state combined, than you are.
I'm not giving you credit for state. We're talking about federal.
I don't care. You're just like the guy from Annapolis. And you didn't hear the account before. We have American citizens, private citizens in this country. They live wherever they want to live. They have to pay taxes where they live. And so they pay taxes where they live. And so if you live in Maryland and you're paying 7% and you're in the 25% federal bracket, you start at 32%. For you, your family. You live in Texas, you start at 25%. And you say, well, you shouldn't get that deduction. I'm subsidizing it. You're not subsidizing anything.
So I am.
Or, sir, I can say, are you on Social Security?
No, not yet.
Oh, you're not. What do you do?
I'm a lawyer. I'm a tax lawyer.
You're a tax lawyer?
Yes, I am. I'm also a CPA.
You're also a CPA. So I'm surprised at your response.
Because I know that you don't like redistribution of wealth. I don't either.
Sir, you're a tax lawyer and you're a CPA. If I come in to pay my taxes, whose money am I paying?
Your own.
My own.
Exactly.
Is the state paying my tax?
Your state? No, you're paying
Is
taxes.
the state getting a benefit if I get a deduction?
Your state? No, but you are.
Okay, but I am, right. And I'm saying that if you have rules that apply across the board, of course there's going to be different applications to it. Let me ask you something, a question I asked in the prior hour. I'm an atheist. I'm not going to make a contribution to a church. How come you do and you get a deduction and I don't? Yeah, well, noodle on that one. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Sad. If you go to Amazon and look at the best-selling books on the list there, this liberal who's trashing Trump, thanks to the on and off record comments by certain people surrounding Trump, his book is number 1. It's incredible that this was done. It is absolutely incredible. And by the way, the radical atheist groups make the same argument as that tax lawyer from Dallas. That's why I bring it up. They oppose tax deductions for churches and synagogues and faith organizations. They make exactly the same argument as the tax lawyer from Dallas. Well, it's not fair. They don't practice religion. See, they're not really talking about fairness, the tax lawyer, the guy from Annapolis. They're talking about equality. And when you get into egalitarianism and equality, it's not the same as fairness. It empowers government. It doesn't empower the individual. Again, I'm talking about when it comes to justice and the law and so forth. You know, when I wrote the Liberty Amendments, it's because I knew regardless of who's running Washington, the only way to fix the country and restore its founding principles was to call a convention of states. I had no idea that my friend Mark Meckler was actually launching a project to do just that at exactly the same time. Isn't that amazing? Today I'm honored to have served on their legal advisory board since the very beginning. Just 4 years later, over 3 million of you are involved. 12 states have already passed the Convention of States resolution, and we're on our way to calling the first Article 5 Convention of States in American history. The people are going to propose and ratify amendments to restrain the scope and power of the federal government. So what's your New Year's resolution? How about resolving to do something that will really matter to you, to your kids, to your grandkids, and to the country? If you care about the future of our nation like I do, then go to conventionofstates.com, sign the petition, and volunteer today. I'm all in, but the future of the nation depends on you. I'm depending on you. It's the only solution as big as the nation's problems. Conventionofstates.com, conventionofstates.com. My publisher just sent to me, speaking of books, a copy of the cover of the paperback version of Rediscovering Americanism and the Tyranny of Progressivism. It looks beautiful. I strongly hope you'll go ahead and acquire the hardback copy. It's not number one on Amazon right now. That is the anti-Trump book. But you can go to the same place, Amazon, Rediscovering Americanism. I think you'll enjoy it a hell of a lot more than the left-wingers book. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. Please check out Levin TV tonight, the first of the new year, and I'll see you tomorrow. God bless each and every one of you. Take care.